Here we are back at the channel, and now today we are going to unbox review Scat Crankshafts Connecting Rods. These here are, I believe, what they would call the Series 9000, I believe, or maybe I'm wrong about that, but it's the Ford small block 4340 forged I-beam connecting rods, 5.4 inches in length. Has a .927 pin that is bushed with ARP 8740 bolts. So, standard part number 2 ICR 5400 927. So, I-beam connecting rod. It is 5.4 inches in length, center to center, with the .927 inch bushed pin diameter. And I don't know if this is the factory here or if this is just something that the factory puts here, and then when Ford Strokers did the balancing, this is what they, I think, I don't know, I didn't ask questions, but it has a big end weight, small end weight. Again, I'm not sure if that comes from the factory that way or if that just, this is printed, and then my guys at Ford Strokers, when they balanced it, that's probably the numbers they wrote in, is what I'm going to guess. But I'm not 100% sure on that. Nonetheless, you open it up and wow, pretty, right? All pretty messed up. No, I'm just kidding. Installation of connecting rods. So basically this right here is the instructions that is probably universal. In other words, it's just got all kinds of information you got to pay attention to. You got to pay attention to the actual bolt sizes, and what kind of cap screw or bolt nut or whatever you have, and then put the correct moly lube on it. And this is the recommended torque, and this is the recommended stretch, or not to exceed this stretch. Okay, so that's kind of cool, actually, that comes with that. And when they start talking about that moly lube, this is what they're talking about back here. This right here, because these are all ARP fasteners, very likely. ARP right there. Ultra Torque Fastener Assembly Lubricant. This is what you're going to want to get for doing this kind of stuff here. Okay? And what was I thinking the other day? I can't remember what the subject was, but it just seems like people were what were they saying? There was some debate going on about torquing. And I can't remember what it was about off the hand, but I just remember everybody saying, "Oh, it's got to be torque dry. You can't use lubricant on your threads, blah 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 blah." And I'm like, yeah, the experts, ARP, they use moly lube. They got a specific lubricant for it, and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So yeah, you're right. You got to do everything dry. But whatever. I personally believe that what ARP has for that instructions as far as that specific lubricant to get you that exact spec and torque, I kind of think they know what they're doing. Actually, I lied, right? I was being sarcastic, actually. But I think they know what the hell they're doing, and you probably should pay attention to what they do, because obviously everybody has the utmost respect for ARP fasteners. They seem to know what the hell they're doing. All right, so let's look at the rod now. Let's not get on a tangent. Let's look at the rod. You can obviously see we've got, 8 of them here. I had these balanced with the assembly, with the crankshaft assembly and the pistons and all that stuff by FordStrokers.com. Please go over there and support those people, because they're a small mom and pop, and he spent some time with me on the phone. He's an awesome guy. Their email, they pay attention to it. They answer my questions. They're just plain awesome, and they deserve our business, in my opinion. They've been around a while. They know what they're doing. They're just polite. Everything about them, I love them. All right, so obviously I'm gonna get me a little rag here because it's a little oily, but obviously these things were probably sealed, and then Ford Strokers very likely had to cut these open so that they could, get them out and, measure them for weight, basically. Remember, these are the rods that are 5.4 in length, 5.4 inches in length, center to center, and it has a 0.927 inch diameter bushing in, and you can see that they are actually bushed. They've got some bronze material in there. I believe that's what that is. Looks like it. Bronze material has looks like to be like an oiling hole here at the top. Sorry, I'm kind of trying to look, and then I keep forgetting my camera is also in my other hand, and I should be pointing and looking through there probably. But anyway, oil hole there to lube the piston pin as it floats around in there, because this is a floating situation. Here's something that, I mean, that looks like a factory thing, as far as I just noticed this. I hadn't taken all these out, by the way. I just kind of opened them up. But a little sharp edge right there, whatever that is. I'm sure that'll be fine. I will definitely be looking these things over very, 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 very closely when I actually go to assemble this engine. And shit like this, I will probably just run a little bit of sandpaper over just to get rid of the idea that it's sharp. But I mean, that to me, well, there you go. Now you can see, I think you can see it a lot better there. Am I worried about that? No, I'm not. If I were twin turbos and nitrous and all that shit, yeah, I would be. But because I'm just going to be running this maybe up to 6,500 RPM, probably, and that's it, and I'm going to be cruising it most of the time, then yeah, I'm not worried about it. Not worried at all. I don't think that's going to be a problem. So you can see that the balance pads right there, that's where they can grind to take weight off if they need to. These apparently do not seem to have any grinding on it. I now that I think about it, I did take them all out, but I never pulled them out of the plastic, and I think I saw only one that you can see that these are clearly machined here from the factory. I think I found one rod that actually had a little bit of sanding done on it because of the fact that, again, they're balancing it. So I only think one rod actually got, any kind of indication of like some material removed so that they were all the exact same weight or whatever, however they balance them. I mean, I know how they balance them, but I'm not going to explain that here because, as you know, I can go off on a tangent and go forever. Especially if you've been following me, you know that. And so these are a bolt style connecting rod. So these don't have the bolts that come from the top and then you have a nut on the bottom. It's actually a through bolt with it threaded up on the upper part of the rod. L200, that's the other thing that I was going to let you know, that when you take these things out, well, hey, let's just at least take one more out, right? I might not even pull it out of the bag, but at least let's look at one other one so we can kind of tell you what I'm talking about here. Yeah, there we go. Can you see that? V080. So, and oh, there it is. Yeah, there it is right there. So this is the actual one that you can see that got sanded on right here. It got some material removed on it because it is not like this side here. You can actually see the the laser etching or whatever, that V080. This one, L200, and then the other side you can see that this is clearly machined and hasn't been touched. But this is the one that I remember I saw that had some material removed. You can see that that's sanded a little bit. So they did remove a little bit of weight off of that one. I mean, I would assume Ford Strokers did it because that's what I paid them to do. I don't think that would be a factory thing right there, but who knows. My whole point that I was leading up to, actually, is, okay, so L200 and V080, I have no idea what the hell that shit means. I have no idea why those numbers are different. So, I mean, maybe that's a factory thing, different batch number. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. So, what I was told by FordStrokers.com is that they balance their assemblies, the crank and the rod and the pistons, which I don't have here right now. They're at the machine shop with the block. They balance all that shit to where you can put on just your standard 28 ounce crankshaft dampener and a standard 28 ounce flex plate or flywheel, and you're golden. Okay, so basically, I guess they remove material on the rods, the pistons, and the crank to make it all work with the damper and flex plate or flywheel, which is kind of cool because if the clutch wears out, all you do is just buy another 28 ounce flywheel, boom, put it on, you're done. You don't have to worry about rebalancing. If you, your dampener, you buy a cheap one, what a lot of people do, and the rubber starts peeling out, or you just reuse the old one you have. That's a 28 ounce, by the way, and the rubber starts finally peeling out, and it's looking shitty and all that kind of stuff. And you go to buy a brand new one, all you got to do, again, get the new one, slip it on, ta-da, you're balanced. So that's what they told me. And that makes sense. I've always been told, in the past, I've always been told, bring the flex plate, flywheel, crank, and the whole rotating assembly, basically. And I did, actually, a long time ago on my Mexican block that I put together, my 68 Mexican block, which is, the crank is underneath there, and the block is over there, actually. I still have it. But it's going to be used for a different project. But my point is that I actually took them a flywheel because at the time I had it in my 78 F-150 with a 4-speed. And I knew that eventually at some point I was going to pull that engine out and probably put it in this Mustang, which I didn't, but I thought I was. And I actually gave them a flywheel, and that flywheel's over in the corner actually by that Mexican block. But my point is that they balanced that whole assembly to where I could go either way with it. And I don't know why, but this particular machine shop balanced it to, using, I guess, grinding the weight on the flex plate and the flywheel and all that shit, which is why they told me it was important that I got to keep that if I want the balance to remain the same. But the way Ford Strokers is doing it, I don't know if this is something revolutionary or something new, or is this something that's just common sense, which I think it is. They, again, have done it to where he told me all I got to do is just, get my block ready and start dropping the crank in and just start putting rods on pistons. That's all I got to do. Don't got to worry about nothing. Obviously, you need to worry about the orientation of the pistons, in regards to the valve reliefs, to the cylinder heads, and that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's true. But, I mean, everything else, though, yeah, it's just, put it in there how you want it. Now, when you look at factory rods, usually right here on the balance pad, they have a number stamped in there, right? And to be honest with you, I am going to do the same. Now, here comes all the people. They're going to tell me that that's the wrong thing to do. You never stamp, blah, blah, blah. You never hammer something, blah, 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 blah. Shut up. Because you go over here. I don't know if I can show you or not, but y'all go on over here. Here we go. These are my 68 rods. 1968 Mustang rods. You can see that I polished them. These are the ones that got balanced, like I said, for So I polished the beams is what I did. And this is back when I had shit tons of time in college, man. I had so much time. I miss those days. But anyway, I polished the beams. You know, these are factory 68 rods. And I did put in ARP connecting rod bolts. I think I upgraded to the Chevy size. I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I don't think these are 5/16. I think these are just a tad bit bigger. But anyway, as you can see right here, barely. Can you see it? Can the camera? There it is. Look at that. 4. That 4 is stamped into those rods. Yep. It doesn't have it on that side. But it's stamped into those rods. Right? That's a factory thing. See, look at that. Right there. Ford Motor Company. FOMO-CO. Right there. These are factory rods, C8 OEA. So you know C8 meaning 68. But again, these are what I had in my Mustang. Well, no, I'm sorry. These are what I had in my F-150 when I rebuilt that Mexican block. But my point is, you can see the stamped. There we go. Let's take a look. What does this one say? This one says, come on, focus, focus. There we go. This one says 8. And look at that. You can tell on that left one there. Look, they missed. I mean, they didn't do it very good, right? And this is the factory, ladies and gentlemen. And they kind of missed, so they hit it again. Right? So they hit it again. So what does that tell you? That tells you that the people that tell you that you can't do that shit, they're full of shit. Okay? Now, I'm not talking about sintered rods. I'm not talking about rods that, Coyote's engines are, some of them are made out of that new sintered material or whatever. I don't think I would actually stamp that. But these are forged steel connecting rods, very much similar to the metallurgy of those factory rods that you saw right over there. And so, yeah, I'm going to actually put this all together. And when I do that, and I have all the pistons in the block and everything, I'm going to roll this thing around. And on these balance pads, I don't know. I might not do it here where the parting line is at. I'll probably do it right up here or down here. But nonetheless, I'm going to stamp with a little small stamp set that I have. Nice and light, just like they do at the factory at Ford back in 1960s and 70s. I'm going to stamp a number on there. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because if I ever take this engine apart, I know exactly the orientation of each and every one. And again, I know that people are going to flip their shit about that. And I'm going to tell you that you will watch how I will put this all together and do exactly that. And I will run this engine for the rest of my life probably, or to the point of where I get tired of it and I want a different engine or more power or whatever the fuck. And I'm going to do the same thing to the next engine that I put in. Unless, of course, like I said, it's a Coyote with one of them center rods. And I probably wouldn't do it. But with these forged steel rods, you bet. I'm gonna mark everything. Again, Mr. Ford Stroker says that just put them on, however, and no order of importance or anything like that. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to, like I said, stamp them. And the main reason why I do that, again, not just to keep it orientated where I know if I ever take it apart, but it helps with diagnostics if you ever take, something again apart or put it back together, whatever. You know exactly where you found this one when you took it apart or whatever the fuck, because of the fact that it's marked, right? Okay, awesome. So enough about this, because I'm off on a tangent now, but I just wanted you to see what these connecting rods are right out of the box. Now, again, these are out of the box from FordStrokers.com, but nonetheless, they are out of the box pretty much, with the exception of the fact that they took them out just so that they could balance them. But you're seeing what you're going to get here when you order these rods, and this is what they look like. These are the I-beam rods. I think if you want to make another step up, you get the H-beam rods, which are supposedly stronger than these. Again, I flogged the shit out of those rods over there and a lot of other factory rods, and I've never had any problem. But of course, I never had twin turbos. I never had huge nitrous. I never had any big power stuff either. So there's that. But I'm pretty sure these are going to work just fine naturally aspirated with a little hint of nitrous every once in a while if I choose to do that. Because I have the upper lower Edelbrock Performer RPM 2 intake manifold, and I happen to have a nitrous spacer, and I will be installing that. Will I be hooking it up? That I don't know, but if I do, guess what? I can use it. And because I have the Holley Terminator X, computer system, it should be a pretty simple, add-on if I want to do it. And I probably would never go above 100 horsepower shot total anyway. Just because, again, I'm not really going to be drag racing the car or anything. It's just going to be more like a fun thing. In fact, if anything, I'm probably just do 50, 75 horse shot and have a little fun and ta-da, I'm done. And, go cruise home and park it. That's probably at worst that I'm going to do. So, these rods will work just fine. Oh, and check it out. Look at that. ARP Ultra Torque Fastener Assembly Lubricant. Fastener Assembly Lubricant. All those people out there saying, oh, you got to torque everything when it's dry. Oh, that's right. Wheel lug nuts. That's what that subject was. Oh, you got to clean the wheel studs up and you got to torque down the lug nuts dry. You don't ever use grease or lubricant. Really? I'm pretty sure that, fasteners that go into connecting rods and, main studs for crankshafts and head bolts are probably a lot more abused and more important than lug nuts, if you ask me, just because they hold things together. And I would put money on it that ARP would tell you that this would be, well, no, never mind. It's the lawyers that are going to prevent that, by the way. The lawyers are going to say, oh, no, you can't tell them that you use this grease on wheel studs. We know nothing about that kind of thing. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. But technically, I guarantee you there's somebody at ARP Factory that is using this shit on their lug nuts. I promise you they are. And if they're not, whatever. I do. And that's why my studs never seize up and I get them all off all the time. And I've never had them come off. Ever! Never, ever have my lug nuts come off the car. Ever. Ever. By the way, have you seen these? I got another video for this. Midnight Blue Motegi Racing Wheels. It's awesome. Well, yeah, when I go to torque those babies down, dry, right? You can feel like when you get them tight, you just feel the torque wrench. It like cracks, it's got that, that noise that they make, when they're dry against dry. And if they were lubed, they would actually, slide and smooth right to where the torque spec is perfect and then stop. And then you stop. Where instead you're getting close to it and it's dry and all of a sudden it just slips and who the hell knows what the torque is now. That's what I remember that discussion. Oh, we're off the subject of the connecting rods now, aren't we? Ask me if I give a shit. Anyway, so hey, thanks for stopping by and checking out the video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and rumble on it, and come back for more, because I'm always going to have more, including my antics that I put out there that you apparently like, because you keep coming back for it. So, we'll see y'all later.